Putin gives his much-anticipated speech, hear how it could escalate tensions with the West. Another explosion in Ohio. James O'Keefe is out at Project Veritas and breaking his silence. And amidst all the bad news, a town is getting overrun by people seeking Jesus. I'm Kristi Leigh, and here's today's Daily Brief. Starting today with escalating tensions with Russia, in a long-delayed speech, President Vladimir Putin suspends Moscow's participation in the last remaining nuclear arms control pact with the U.S., according to the AP. The START treaty was signed in 2010 by the U.S. and Russia and caps the number of long-range nuclear warheads the two sides can deploy, limiting the use of missiles that can carry atomic weapons. Russia's coverage notes Putin says he's suspending the pact, not withdrawing altogether. But Putin also said in his speech that his country should stand ready to resume nuclear weapons tests if the U.S. does so, something that hasn't happened since the Cold War. He added that Russia was prepared to respond since, quote, it will be a matter of our country's existence. Putin says he is not at war with Ukrainian people, but refers to them as hostages of the Kyiv regime and its Western masters. Meanwhile, things are not going so well for some Ukrainian refugees. They are said to have escaped a war-torn country, only to find themselves in dangerous situations here in the U.S. A Ukrainian refugee living in Minneapolis was robbed at gunpoint.
In one moment, he took my PC and ran away. I tried to catch him. I got him, and he showed me the gun. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? You saw on my TikTok, you saw on my Facebook page, I'm a refugee from Ukraine.
And a 13-year-old Ukrainian refugee was robbed and abused at a San Francisco middle school, according to Information Liberation. She wants to return home to Ukraine after living in San Francisco. The San Francisco Chronicle tried to blame the violence seen at the middle school on students reeling from their own tragedies, ranging from the loss of loved ones in the pandemic to poverty and homelessness. And of course, the school is asking for more resources, money in other words, and refuses to transfer the student. So far, she has not returned to that school. Another explosion in Ohio. It happened at a metal plant in Bedford, Ohio, scattering debris over hundreds of yards. It leaves one dead and a dozen injured, according to the New York Times. The factory has been operating for more than 100 years. The cause of the explosion is under investigation. South of the explosion, East Palestine residents say they are still getting mixed messages about safety after what officials call a controlled burn to avoid an explosion. This after a 100-car Norfolk Southern train carrying hazardous chemicals derailed on February 3rd. After a large evacuation, residents were told they could return to their homes, and Governor Mike DeWine says air and water quality are being monitored. Residents needn't be concerned. But Daily Wire reports employees of a manufacturing facility near the derailment say they have been suffering physical symptoms since the fire, including headaches, sore throats, and digestive issues, not to mention the lingering taste of chemicals. The Ohio Department of Natural Resources reports thousands of fish have died in creeks and streams near East Palestine, and the director of the Columbiana County Humane Society says that over 20 different families have reported that some of their animals have been impacted by toxic chemicals, with some being diagnosed with vinyl chloride poisoning. First responders note a lingering smell in the air, an oily chemical sheen in local creeks and rivers, and sudden deaths among wildlife and livestock. James O'Keefe, the founder of Project Veritas, is now out. Project Veritas focuses on undercover investigative reporting and most recently exposed a Pfizer executive. A feud between O'Keefe and the board of directors culminated in O'Keefe saying he'd been pushed out. In a nearly 45-minute video, O'Keefe addresses his staff, saying he wanted to make clear he did not resign from the company he founded 13 years ago, but was stripped of his position as CEO and chairman. He frames it as a mutiny.
A board member reached out to one of our journalists and stated, quote, "You get a raise if there is a restructure without James O'Keefe at Project Veritas." I have a copy of the text message.
Project Veritas released a statement saying they did not fire O'Keefe and still wish to speak with him. The statement says they had a legal obligation to investigate allegations of misappropriated donor funds and his firing of a CFO without board approval. In the court of public opinion, many have rushed to support O'Keefe. If we're going by Twitter following, the people have spoken. Project Veritas continues to hemorrhage followers while O'Keefe has gained thousands, now surpassing PV. On a more positive note, the revival at Asbury University in Kentucky is not only still going, but growing.
Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty.
The Western Journal reports the town of Wilmore, where the university is located, is swamped. The revival crowd is now 3 times the size of the city's population, so much so that check out these signs. No further entry. Revival over capacity. The town has actually had to reject any more visitors. The university has posted that the service is now reserved for 16 to 25-year-olds, but will live stream portions. Public services have been moved off-site. CBN News reports that spiritual awakenings are breaking out on other college campuses in Ohio, Tennessee, and Alabama. So here's today's takeaways. Biden visits Ukraine, and now Russia's president suspends its nuclear arms control pact with the U.S. Another unexplained explosion in Ohio, this time in the Northeast. James O'Keefe is out at Project Veritas, and the revival has reached capacity in Kentucky, but the spiritual awakening is spreading. To learn the latest developments, go to AmericanFaith.com and subscribe to our daily newsletter with your top headlines fast and free. I'm Kristi Leigh.